All right, so our second one here, we've got the same instructions. I just kind of compacted them. So we have sales in music stores from 99 to 2008. So you can see this is definitely a negative correlation sort of situation because, of course, as time goes on, we're probably making fewer sales in music stores since everything's online. So first thing we're going to do is make a scatter plot. So we are going to set up years and then sales. So remember, your first variable is always listed on the x-axis, and then your second is on the y-axis. So we are going to do this, and then this little like squiggle, you're able to just cut out values. So these ones we've got years, and then this one will be sales. So this will kind of do the same little cut right here. So that way you don't have to start all the way from 0. So that's what this represents, is that you're not actually starting from 0. So the year we would have 1999 would be our starting point. And then we can go from there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would make this 2008. So we've got all of those years in between. And then this one, our lowest possible value is 30. So we're going to start this at 30. And then with all these, you just kind of pick an appropriate scale that you think is going to make the most sense based on the values that you have. So the highest that we want to get is up to 45. So maybe we could scale this by 5s. So we'd say 30, 35, 40, 45. So just make sure that everything's spaced out and scaled appropriately. So now you're going to plot those points on there. So you've got 10 different points to plot. So 1999 is just about up at 45. So that would be right there. 2000 would be at 42.4. So if this is 40, this is 35. So this would be almost exactly halfway between 40 and 45. So that's for the year 2000. Be right about there. And then 42.5, pretty much the same for the next year. So like we're not really going to see a significant difference. So they might as well just go right next to each other. Then 36.8 for the next year. So this is, let's see. I'm just going to put those all on there. Okay. So then in 2002, we've got 36.8. Should be right around there. A lot of these are just approximating. 33.2. So that's right here, a little bit closer to 35 than 30. 32.5 would be just halfway in between. 39.4, we had a little bit of a spike there, so that would be almost up to the 40 again. 2006, 35.4, just above the 35. 2007 is 31.1, a little bit above the 30. And then 2008 is right exactly at 30, so right about there. Okay, so you start with the scatter plot. Your data looks like that. Definitely a negative correlation, but not quite as strong as the correlation that you had from the first one. So we've got a scatter plot. Line of fit, remember, you're just kind of trying to make sure that you've got about half the data points below and about half of them above. So this one actually, if you go from end to end, just actually connecting those 2 points, that seems like it's going to actually be a pretty good line of fit, because it looks like these 4 will almost be like dead on the line. You'd have 2 above, and then that would leave these ones below. So that looks like it's actually going to be a pretty good approximation. So we'll do that. Okay. So that's your line of fit. Remember what you're looking for. If you can hit a bunch of them, of course, try to hit them, but then you want to split the difference, having as many points below as you would have above. So that's about what we did here. We've got, it looks like 4 of them that are, well, 3 of them that are like almost dead on the line. And then these ones are really close. We've got 2 above and 3 below. So that was probably about the best we could do there. Describe the correlation. So we've got, this is definitely a negative correlation. If you wanted to talk about the strength, I would say that's like a medium strength. It's not super strong because they're not really packed in, but I definitely wouldn't call it weak because they're not super spread apart. And write a prediction equation. Okay. So we're going to pick 2 points that seem like they're pretty close to being on the line. So this first point, and then you could either use the second to last point or the last point. So let's use this first point, and then let's just say the second to last point. So we set up our slope. Remember, that's the first thing that you do with your prediction equation. So the slope is m, and that is change in y over change in x. So change in y, your ending y value is 31.1. And then minus your starting y value is 44.5, and then over change in x. Sorry, I'm trying to get my calculator back. I put it away. And then over change in X, which would be the change in years. That is 2007 and then minus 1999. So we can plug this first part in and subtract. So when I do that, I get 31.1 minus 44.5. So that's negative 13. Oops, that's not showing up. There we go. Negative 13.4, and that should be negative because it was decreasing. So we get negative 13.4 over, and then subtract these years. And of course, that's an 8-year difference. So we've got that. So then we divide negative 13.4 divided by 8, and we come up with negative 1.675. So that's your slope. That's approximately how much the sales are declining with each year that passes. So we have that. And then we're going to set up our equation. So let me just plug in these values. So the slope that we just found, that's going in for m. And then we have x minus, and then you just pick either one of these. Whichever one you prefer is fine. So this, I'll just use the 2007. And then y minus 31.1. Remember, pick either point you want, but you can't mix and match. Like I can't take this x value and use this y value. That would mess you up. Okay, so distribute the negative 1.675. So then multiply these two. Distribute that negative 1.675 times the negative 2007. That gives us this value right here, 33,617.25. And then we would be adding this value over to the other side to get our actual equation. Okay, so let's see what we get here. This cancels. We get y equals, so this I have negative 1.675 times x, and then plus whatever I get when I add those two together. So I'm going to add 31 point, oops, that should be a 1, not a 7, sorry about that. So I get 33,648.35. So that is your prediction equation. I'm running out of space here, sorry. Then it says use the function to predict the percent of sales made in a music store in 2018. So that means that you're going to take the 2018 and plug that in for X. So that's what I'm going to do for the very last part. Lucky I've got a little bit of space down here. So replace the X with 2018. And then just like the last one, I can just plug this just right into my calculator and get a value. So we're going to have negative 1.675, whoops, times 2018, and then plus 33,648.35. So that gives us this very large value right here, 30,000 and then 218. Let's see, I think something went kind of weird here.